Just let me just do. Well, good evening, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another gathering with Caleb. And just for my references, the date is the 25th of May, and we're talking about falling stars tonight. So, yay, Caleb. Do you want to maybe just open for us in prayer, please?
Sure. Heavenly Father, I thank you for another day. I thank you for more mercy, for more strength, for more peace. Thank you for information. I ask that you just make this clear to those that need to hear it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Cool. So, Caleb, do you want to maybe just give a little bit of an intro as to what we're going to be talking about? Because this is something you're obviously quite aware of.
I'm kind of referencing to Revelation, not completely and totally to Revelation, but a lot of it has to do with the two comets that are going to hit us. They're not going to might hit us, they're going to hit us. It's a matter of when. There's a definite timeline, so we can answer questions for the end, but I want to kind of keep on target with this one.
Cool. Do you want me to put up the screen share thing?
In a minute, I want to
Okay.
see if John wants to say anything about it first, because he's the one that has pushed us into my attention sphere. So if he wants to say something, he can. You sure don't have to talk, John, if you don't want to.
Just unmute, John. If you want to say something, just unmute.
Yeah, I'll talk. As much as I know about it, I just don't want to. If you want this on YouTube, then, I don't want to say too much about it, but I'll tell what I can. See, I
You
wish
go
the
ahead and
guy
say
that
what you need to say.
well, I wish the guy that was actually trying to tell people, about it would come on, but he's done one show and he don't like coming on shows. His life's already in danger about it. They trying to figure out who he is, and they can't figure it out. He's born, like I say, he's born on a certain day of grace. The day of grace, they don't know it, but he knows too much information just to be a regular dude. You know what I'm saying? And he just, and he said he's putting his life on the line, and it will cost him his life for our peace of mind. That's what he said. You know, It's just a matter of time. He put too much information out, they gonna kick his door in and get him. So, he's had to take down like 300 videos and stuff, because of it. So, but it's gonna be bad. I don't know. I don't really know what to say. It's just a lot of people like, I'm just gonna be flat with you. A lot of people ain't gonna make it through it. I might be one of them. If you run a big river or a body of water, you're probably not gonna make it. But it's going to impact in the ocean. He said this has happened before in the past. It's impacted on land somewhere, and I can't think of where it's at. It's just he said it's just the cycle of God. What happens? This would be the sixth time the earth been reset, and Caleb said nine. That's good enough for me. So I don't know. I'm just I mean, I just, I just try to tell people about it. And I get the hateful stuff. It's like, you know, call them retard and all kind of cussing and make fun of them. I found a place to go, but it's closer to the coast. And I told my sister that I want to move near no more close to a body of water. She started cussing, calling me conspiracy theory and all this stuff, and it hurts. But ain't nothing I can do about it. I can just tell them. My brother don't want to hear it for sure. He don't care either. He got a daughter, and I don't have nobody to worry about. My sister's got a daughter, and we got a son, and then my brother's got a daughter just graduated this year, and then an older daughter, and and just I don't know what to tell them. I just try to help them, and they don't care. They make fun of, so I'm sick of it. But yeah, it's gonna be bad. So people need to know about it because the ones who make it needs to be prepared. Because they're gonna have to have all. If they got faith now, they're gonna have to have faith then. Big time because there'll be no food, no water, no transportation, no cell phone, no nothing. It's gonna go right back to the old days. That's gonna be bad. If you watch his videos, the man's name is Antonio Supercolio. He's got that channel on YouTube. He's got Hush Puppy, and then on Facebook, he's got My World and Yours. You know, Miss Rhonda runs that with him and stuff, and he'll tell you, you know, what he can, but he's nervous for his family and stuff, you know. So I don't have nobody to worry about, so I can tell you whatever. They ain't gonna snatch me up and carry me off. I don't care. So man, I'm so nervous. I got caught, man. Man, but yeah, but I mean, I'm just trying to tell people it's gonna be, you know, it's can I say what's here? It's a big old planet
Sorry,
we call
John, can
Kia.
you just John, can you just repeat the name Antonio? What's his proper his surname?
Yes, Antonio Serpicolio. You know, he'll have his face in the little thing. Uh,
Can you spell that for us? Because there's people that are asking.
hey,
Um,
okay, okay. So, hey, let me get. I don't know. You know, I'm kind of, you know, hold on a minute. Let me get my phone. I'm still right, man. Uh, hold on a minute. Hold on. I have trouble spelling. So, uh, it's AntonioSerpecolio.
okay, Sercepi.
PEC. No, it's SerPecolio.
Sepulchria. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
it's
put
on
that in the chat.
YouTube.
Cool, thank you.
Right. And all of his channels are so shadow banned, you know, and stuff. They don't. He's got like 10,000 subscribers on each one, and on like 1,200 people see it. Maybe not see his video, you know. But I don't know, man. It's just people. I don't know. And there's a lady on there on Facebook. You know, she's with him. She's got the Blue Kachina skies. I think, yeah, yeah, Blue Kachina skies. Hold on, I gotta take a drink. I'm not so nervous. Man.
Anyway, I think he said blue Kachina. There's the legend of the blue Kachina and the red Kachina amongst
Yeah, Holy Prophecy. Yeah,
the
yeah, it's
Pueblo
coming.
Indians,
Man.
Navajo, Hopi, those types of people. I won't dig deep
Yeah,
into that too much, but I'll let him finish what he's got to say.
man, I don't. Yeah, you don't hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's just us. You know, you can look at the planet in front of the Vatican. You know, they try to tell us what's going on, but humanity don't care. If you know, I'm just gonna say, it's flat Earth people, man, you can't get them to hear nothing, man. I think they know everything and stuff. So I don't know how space works. I don't know how nothing works. I know the planet's here. You know, they spray in the skies because of the plasma and the energy. You know, it draws people see like the eclipse on the 8th. That's what caused the eclipse. And now everybody thinks it's a sun simulator on stuff because you can see the moon on the other side of the sky and it come across there. So, you know, they had to think of a lie, tell people. And boy, people will believe a lie if they build the truth. Man, you know, it's true. I mean, it's going to be, you know, I'm just going to tell you what I remember, okay? Louisiana's going to be gone. 23 miles in on the East Coast will be underwater. If you're 300 feet up, you'll be okay. And you know, and some maps show, you know, where I'm at gone, you know, all the West Coast be gone, and some maps show, you know, the Navy flood maps show up into like, I don't know, it's you know, like it kind of, you know, curves and go up to the United States, but lots of underwater. You can you can see, you know, kind of like a rendition of it on TikTok. Just put up the Navy flood map, and you tell people, you know, you show people that, they're gonna think you're crazy, but he's got the original one saved, and that's what he goes by too. You know, it's gonna have a lot of things underwater, and I think he said like like when I think the coconut plate breaks and another plate breaks in the Caribbean, all that's gonna be underwater besides the west side of Cuba, and where Beyonce and Jay-Z moved to. That's the highest spot there. So if you if you're in the middle of America, you're gonna, now unless something that hits you, you're gonna be pretty safe. But if you're on a coastline, I don't know, you're gonna have a lot of trouble, he said. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know too much about it. I just want to tell people, because once when it happens, you're gonna have to have either food and water until you can have, maybe to your family, for your family. So that's what I'm worried about, is people making it, and they got children, kids and stuff, making it. So that's not my concern. So I don't really know what to say. It's just gonna be, he said it's just gonna happen. He said this year will there be a change on Earth, and you know, so I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. It's when. It's not if, it's when. So it's gonna be bad, and when you hit, when this, oh man, like I'm trying to think, what I always said. I said I'm nervous. I can't think, but it's gonna be bad. So just be prepared. So that's about all I got to say for right now until I think something else for this to you. So.
Well, if you don't have anything else, we can start with what we got for presentation here if you want.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm nervous.
All right, I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of this. It's called the Younger Dryas event. I don't have an in-depth thing about it. Besides what we're about to look at here, we can go through this together if you want. This comes from bpearthwatch.com. And he's on YouTube as well. He does a lot of just reporting on what's happening around us, and comes up as really interesting. Another place for a good source of information for this is Timothy Alberino, if you've ever heard of him, but he's got some great information about this as well. If you want to scroll down, Chantelle, we can start reading this if you want.
Okay. All right. Do you want me to read it?
Sure.
Okay. This archaeological site in Arizona in the US shows evidence of an impact from a comet. Okay. Could a devastating comet impact Earth? Sorry, I've just got to let people in at the same time. Could a devastating comet impact in Earth's distant past have ever changed human civilization? Interesting question. Scientists think that a cluster of comet shards may have smashed into Earth's surface 13,000 years ago in the most catastrophic impact since, I don't know, what is it? Chicxulub. Sorry, whoever's just entered, can you just put yourself on mute, please?
I did it.
Thanks. Okay, thank you. It killed off Earth's large dinosaurs about 66 million years ago. In a new study, a team led by Martin Sweatman, a scientist at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland, investigated the impact and how it could have shaped the origins of whatever. A comet may have exploded over Chile 12,000 years ago. Do you want me to carry on, or do you want to decode that? Do you have anything to say on that?
What we got to kind of preface it with is the creation story, I guess. What we've been told is we're only 6,000 years old. I say hogwash. We're a lot older than that here. Not humans, but this planet's been here for an awful long time. They don't really know exactly how long, but it's been here for a long, long, long time. And the story in Genesis about creation should be looked at more like a restoration, not just an outright creation. Obviously, there was a creation at some point, but there was also a great war in heaven that's talked about an awful lot, but not really explained. So I think this has a lot to do with that. What we're seeing is the after effects, kind of like what you saw in Europe after World War I and World War II. all the destruction. What came after that is the reconstruction. So we're going to keep scrolling. We can go further.
Okay. Scientists conclude 13,000 years ago, a 60-mile wide comet plunged Earth into a mini ice age after examining rocks from 170 sites around the globe.
And I'm not
13,000
the only
years.
one that says this kind of thing. People can say, "Well, where'd you get your information? Where is this all coming from?" Well, the most important thing you can do for yourself is to look for it yourself. Look it up, check it out, give you links and tell you things, but don't take my word for it. Look at the evidence.
Yeah, absolutely. Research. I think this is such an important thing. Time to do that. 13,000 years ago, a firestorm covered 10% of Earth's surface, triggering an ice age. Wow. At a point some 12,800 years ago, a tenth of Earth's surface suddenly became covered in roaring fires. The firestorm rivaled the one that wiped out the dinosaurs, and it was likely caused by fragments of a comet that would have measured around 100 kilometers or 62 miles across.
Think of
The
how
smoke
big that is. 100 kilometers. That's huge.
is very big. 62 miles. Wow.
Now, this is going to start getting into where they think it hit, and there's some evidence to back it up. Now, it's interesting that they mention that they show Greenland in that picture. Watch the movie Greenland if you get a chance.
Yeah, I'm wondering if anyone has watched Greenland. It's quite. I just watched it. Very interesting. Smoke from the massive fires blocked the sun, causing the Younger Dryas extreme mini ice age. Massive crater under Greenland's ice points to climate-altering impact in the time of humans. The 31-kilometer wide Hiawatha crater may have formed as recently as 12,008 years ago when a 1.5-kilometer asteroid struck Earth. Wow. There was a lot of chaos created in...
That's in Greenland, by the way.
Yeah. A lot of chaos created in the entire solar system. Laurentide ice sheet. Pleistocene ice sheet, North America. Okay, Laurentide ice sheet, principal glacial cover of North America during the Pleistocene epoch, about 26.
26 million.
Yeah, 11 years ago. At its maximum extent, it spread as far south as latitude 37 degrees north and covered an area of more than 13 million square. That's 5 million square kilometers. That's 5 million miles.
There's going to be some people that say, no way, that's not possible. No way. Well, there's a ton of evidence that points to this. It's everywhere you look in Canada, most of the northern edge of North America, or not North America, but the U.S. That's an ice sheet that's 2 miles thick. 2 miles. That's a big block of ice.
In some areas, its thickness reached 2.4 to 3,000 meters. That's 8,000 to 10,000 feet or more. The Laurentide ice sheet probably originated on the Labrador-Ungava Plateau and on the mountains of the Arctic islands of Canada, and it's centered over Hudson Bay. As it spread, the glacial ice mass appears to have combined with other ice caps that had formed on local highlands in eastern Canada and in the northern United States. Wow.
And you see the further evidence of that with the glaciers, which are also receding still because of what's happening to the terraforming they're doing here. I'm not going to say climate change. I'm going to say terraforming.
Right. The oceans rose 400 feet and did not go back down. Many underwater cities have been found. The seas would rise 27 more feet in the Greenland ice caps melt. Okay, here's a map. Wow.
One that is still there but is receding is the Greenland ice cap or ice sheet. That one's currently melting now. I want you to look at the Laurentide sheet where it says Hudson Bay, right in the middle there almost.
Yeah.
Hudson Bay is actually an impact crater. That's where that biggest piece of comet hit, was right there.
Mega flood triggered cooling 13,000 years ago. Scientists by David Fogarty, Climate Change. Scientists say they found the trigger of a sharp cooling 13,000 years ago that plunged Europe into a mini ice age. Mark Bateman of the University of Sheffield in England said a catastrophic flood unleashed from a giant North American lake dumped large amounts of fresh water into the Arctic Ocean. This led to the shutting down of the Gulf Stream ocean circulation patterns that brings warmth to Europe. Wow. That.
If you want to pause for a second.
Yeah.
In northeastern Montana, where I kind of grew up, there's a lot of evidence of these impacts. This map shows some of the impacts and where the directionality of where they come from the fragmentation. Now, in northeastern Montana, they have a place, it's kind of like the scablands of western Washington. Tremendous amount of evidence of a huge flood. In fact, it's one of the greatest evidences of the worldwide cataclysm, I guess, if you want to call it that. They found a huge crater and they say it was a supervolcano, but there's no evidence of that. There's an impact crater and they just covered it up. Anyway, keep going.
Diagram of the point inferred from the extension of the major axes of the Carolina Bay structures to the right of the image and the Nebraska rainwater basins equivalent to the Carolina Bays in the Nebraska areas. The point coincides with Saginaw Bay. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. It is evident that finding a crater at this point, taking into account that the planetary body that produced it impacted on a mantle of ice more than 1 kilometer thick, and that's between 1 and 2 kilometer thick. It is very difficult. First, because the mantle attenuated the impact, and second, because the melting of the ice gave rise to a series of flows that dragged the materials generated and obliterated the crater. So do you want to say anything to that?
Again, it's just a pattern of fragmentation from that one impact. And that wasn't even the big impact they're talking about. That's just one impact.
Finally, Zamora relates the impact that occurred in the Great Lakes area, which led to the formation of the Carolina Bays and the Nebraska rainwater basins, to the impact event of the Younger Dryas, the recent dryas, which occurred now between 12,700 and 11,500 years ago. Although this impact event, as well as the relationship with Carolina Bay, was... I've obviously got to carry on there. I don't know if you want anything...
Look at that picture for a minute.
Okay.
Tell me what you see there in all those round circles. Those aren't man-made lakes. Those are impact craters.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, keep going.
That's amazing, actually. I'm actually just staring. I can't stop staring because wherever you look, there are then the impact craters. It's just all over, and it's obvious they've used them now for lakes and stuff, right? And it looks like agriculture. Wow.
Some of it is agriculture, but not all of it.
Yeah. Anything, you want to hang on to?
Look at the impact craters in that map.
Yeah.
Look how far out it is, as far south as Texas. If you don't know what I'm talking about in Revelation, I'll just say one word: wormwood. The Bible talks about two comets or asteroids that are going to hit us soon.
Wormwood. Is that what you said? Wormwood.
Wormwood.
Okay. Do those lines have anything to do with ley lines, or is this
No,
during the
no,
impact?
those are trajectories.
Okay, those are trajectories. Okay.
Okay, and you can also tell by the shape of the impact to the directionality where they come from. You can tell the direction it's coming from. That's how they're able to extrapolate that. And this applies to us because we may or may not see this in the next 100 years or so, but look at the evidence around you. Look how God's trying to warn us. He's not just going to wake you up tomorrow and bang, we get hit by a comet. He's trying to tell us to be watchful, mindful of this. Okay, keep going.
East Texas, Carolina Bay.
You can scroll through these pretty quickly. I'll tell you to stop if you want you to.
Okay. All right. Well,
Maybe send a link to the website so they can check it out later.
yeah, I will actually put a link in the chat just now. 26,000 years ago, Ice Age. There we go. About 13,000 years ago, climate crisis caused a global drop in temperatures in the northern hemisphere. The episode of intense cold known as the Younger Dryas also caused severe aridity across the Mediterranean basin, which had a major impact on terrestrial and marine ecosystems.
They
Younger
think it
Dryas.
caused the they
Okay.
think it caused the Sahara Desert to form.
Wow. Do you want me to read this here? The Younger Dryas Impact Hypothesis. Do you
You
want me to
can
read
if you
that?
want. It's a lot of science, I guess, religion and science stuff. You can read it if you want to.
Well, I think it's always interesting just to see what comes out of that. The Younger Dryas Impact Hypothesis proposes that the onset of the Younger Dryas cool period at the end of the last glacial period, around 12,900 years ago, was the result of some kind of extraterrestrial event with specific details varying between publications. The hypothesis is controversial and not widely accepted by relevant experts. Do you want to say anything to that?
No, you can keep going.
It is an alternative to the long-standing and widely accepted explanation that it was caused by a significant reduction in or shutdown of the North Atlantic conveyor due to a sudden influx of fresh water from Lake Agassiz and the deglaciation in North America. In 1997, a 1997 analysis suggested that to create continent-wide damage, a 4-kilometer comet direct impact would be required, or that the same damage could be caused by a smaller disintegrating comet airburst. In 2007, the first YDIH paper speculated that a comet airburst over North America created a Younger Dryas boundary layer. However, inconsistencies have been identified in other published results, and authors have not yet responded to requests for clarification and have never made their raw data available. Some YDIH proponents have also proposed that this event triggered extensive biomass burning and a brief impact winter that destabilized the Atlantic conveyor and triggered the Younger Dryas instance of abrupt climate change, contributed to extinctions of late Pleistocene megafauna, and resulted in the disappearance of the Clovis culture.
Okay, so my experience with some of this stuff is when we were sent out to look for artifacts, a lot of times we were sent to these impact areas. Let's put it that way. And I'm not going to go much deeper than that with that for now. It had an awful lot to do with this exact theory here. Bear in mind, this is just somebody's theory too, which is an educated guess. We weren't here 13,000 years ago, but there were people that wrote it in petroglyphs. They wrote it in hieroglyphs, and there's other ancient texts that talk about this. Keep going.
They were like a film clip, he recalls. You get to see what happened during a walk, and sometimes you would get to see individuals.
You don't have to read that. That's
Okay.
like an ad or something.
Oh shit, is that okay? Sorry. The pioneer problem. Okay.
That's what they sent out with the Pioneer space probes to explain humanity to whatever aliens, quote unquote, they thought they were going to find. Keep going. Here they're kind of explaining the heliosphere, which is interesting because a wall of fire literally surrounds the sun here where we are. They've actually seen pictures of it. Keep going.
123 astronomical units. The heliosphere extends out into space 123 astronomical units from the Sun, far beyond Pluto, which is only 39 AU from the Sun. Make sure students understand what an AU is. It is defined by the distance of Earth from the Sun, which is 93 million miles, or 150 million kilometers.
Right, so what I would say about that, if you want to pause there for a second, is I think that we're in quarantine in this part of the sector of the galaxy. We're quarantined because of the fall. That's my personal feeling on that. Okay, keep going. Now, wall of fire is kind of part of that quarantine process. Keep going. This is where we kind of get into the Planet X stuff, which is kind of verboten on YouTube, sort of. So a lot of conjecture, and I'm not going to say anything is one solid fact or another. All I'm trying to point out to you, like I do with everything else I do, is try to point out evidence. You'll have to decide for yourself, just like you have to work out your own salvation. Fear and trembling, but not absolute fear. If you want to read it, go ahead.
Caltech researchers have found mathematical evidence suggesting that there may be a planet X deep in the solar system. This hypothetical Neptune-sized planet orbits our Sun in a highly elongated orbit far beyond Pluto. The object, which the researchers have nicknamed Planet 9, could have a mass of about 10 times that of Earth and orbit about 20 times further from the Sun on average than Neptune. It may take between 10 and 20,000 Earth years to make one full orbit around the Sun. The announcement does not mean that there is a new planet in our solar system. The existence of the distant world is only theoretical at this point, and no direct observation of the object nicknamed Planet 9 have been made. The mathematical prediction of a planet could explain the unique orbits of some smaller objects in the Kuiper Belt, a distant region of icy debris that extends far beyond the orbit of Neptune. Astronomers are now searching for the predicted planet.
Okay, hold on. Now, I didn't say have absolute fear with this. I said you have to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, meaning you have to look at the evidence. You have to be evidence-based with a lot of this stuff. But remember, you're not going to get empirical evidence on any of this old information. Because who was there 12, 13,000? Who was there 100 years ago? Almost nobody. So you have to look at what you see around you. There's a trail of breadcrumbs. So now this gets into what John had kind of pointed out to me was Tiamat. You've ever heard of the planet called Tiamat? There's postulation that Tiamat was either outright destroyed by a device that the fallen angels used to destroy the planet, or it hit us here. That the moon was actually a defensive, like a space station. Think Death Star if you want. But This is postulation and some conjecture, so don't take this as fact. But Tiamat is what turned into the asteroid belt that we see today. There's other evidence of other things that were destroyed in the solar system as well. So we're talking about Tiamat or Nibiru. So this brings up another interesting thing that's called dark or dying star, which they postulate is probably a dwarf star that's a binary star with our system. To keep going.
In January 2015, Caltech astronomers Konstantin Batygin and Mike Brown announced new research that provides evidence of a giant planet tracing an unusual elongated orbit in the outer solar system. The prediction is based on detailed mathematical modeling and computer simulations, not direct observation. This large object could explain the unique orbits of at least 5 smaller objects discovered in the distant Kuiper belt. The possibility of a new planet is certainly an exciting one for me as a planetary scientist and for us all, said Jim Green, director of NASA's Planetary Science Division. This is not, however, the detection of a discovery of a new planet. It's too early to say with certainty there's a so-called Planet X. What we're seeing in an early prediction based on modeling from limited observations, it's the start of a process that could lead to an exciting result. The Caltech scientists believe Planet X may has a mass about 10 times that of Earth and be similar size to Uranus or Neptune. The predicted orbit is about 20 times further from the Sun on average than Neptune, which orbits the Sun at an average distance of 2.8 billion miles. It would take this new planet between 10 and 20,000 years to make a full orbit around the Sun, when Neptune completes the orbit roughly every 165 years.
To give you some idea of how long 20,000 years is, to give you some idea how long 10 or 20,000 years is, think about how long it takes Neptune to come around the Sun, a discovered and known planet. 165 years, that's a long time for something that's relatively close to us. This thing goes out 10 to 20,000 years, they think, or maybe as little as 3,500 years. Look at the Sumerian records about that. Okay, keep going.
When was it discovered? Planet X has not yet been discovered, and the debate of the scientific community about whether it exists. The prediction in the January 20 issue of the Astronomical Journal is based on mathematical modeling. What is its name? Batygin and Brown nicknamed their predicted object Planet 9, but the actual naming rights of an object go to the person who actually discovers it. The name used during previous hunts for the long-suspected giant undiscovered object beyond Neptune is Planet X. If the predicted world is found, the name must be approved by the International Astronomical Union. Planets are traditionally named for mythological Roman gods. Why do they think it's there? Astronomers studying the Kuiper belt have noticed some of the dwarf planets and other small icy objects tend to follow orbits that cluster together. By analyzing these orbits, the Caltech team predicted the possibility that a large, previously undiscovered planet may be hiding far beyond Pluto. They estimate the gravity of this potential planet might explain the unusual orbits of those Kuiper objects. Do you want to say anything to that?
No, keep going.
No. What's next? Astronomers, including Batygin and Brown, will
how many
begin.
pages are left to this? I just don't.
Yeah, I don't think it's that long. Do you want me to carry on? Shall I skip this here then? Is that what you're saying? Let me just do the bottom one.
You can keep going if you want. There's kind of a delay.
Okay. Robert Sutton Harrington was an American astronomer who worked at the United States Naval Observatory. Another astronomer there, James W. Christie, consulted him after discovering bulges in the images of Pluto, which turned out to be Pluto's satellite Chiron. For this reason, Some consider Harrington to be a co-discoverer of Chiron, although Christie usually gets sole credit. Harrington was the first to calculate the mass of the Pluto-Chiron system, which was lower than even the lowest previous estimates of Pluto's mass. Harrington became a believer in the existence of Planet X beyond Pluto and undertook searches for it, with positive results coming from the IRAD probe in 1983. Harrington collaborated initially with T.C. van Flandern. They were both courted by Zachariah Sitchin and his followers who believed in a planet Nibiru, or Marduk, who cite the research of Harrington and the Flandern as possible collaborating evidence, though no definitive proof of a ninth planet has surfaced to date. What do you say about that?
Again, you see a name like Zachariah Sitchin. If you know who that is, some people kind of poo-poo his information or whatever, but him being a high-degree Mason, he wasn't just writing fiction to write fiction. He was writing to give you the hidden truth of it all. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, he's written quite a few books. I do believe there are about 12 in a series, aren't there?
Right. And he puts a spin on it for sure. You have to look at it with a grain of salt. But it bears saying, read those books.
Okay, a simulation, the absence of...
This next chart kind of shows if there wasn't that extra body that they know is there. And I have something to say about that again. You've all heard of the Lucifer telescope, I'm sure. I'm not going to ask for raising of hands or anything, but you've all heard that the Vatican runs a thing in New Mexico called the Lucifer telescope. They see this thing on infrared. In this dissertation, they're trying to say that they have no evidence of it. They do. They have evidence of it. They're watching it get closer to us as it gets closer. That's why they're trying to push this worldwide agenda for change and for acceptance of aliens and everything else that's happening. It's also why they're trying to push transmutation.
Wow.
It's not just transsexual.
Are you there? Okay, I can't see Caleb. Can you guys tell me if Caleb is still talking? I think he's disappeared.
I'm still here.
Are you still there? Okay.
Hold on,
Sorry,
let me reposition my phone. Keep going though.
I was quite interested in hearing what you had to say there about the transmutation and that sort of transsexualization, so to speak. Yeah?
Well, the Vatican can see this thing coming, so they kind of have a rough time frame of when it's going to be here. It's going to be here soon, though.
Shall I just carry on?
Yes.
Shall I read this?
Sure.
Sedna has an exceptionally long and elongated orbit, the passage in which takes nearly 11,400 years. The point of the orbit closest to Earth is located at a distance of 76 AU. 90377 Sedna is a post-Neptune celestial body, the largest body discovered in the solar system since Pluto was discovered in 1930. In the year, Sedna was discovered on November 14, 2003 by Michael E. Brown, Chad Trujillo, and David Rabinovich, who worked at Caltech, Gemini Observatory, and Yale University, respectively. On the same day, The object was observed to move 4.6 arc seconds relative to the stars over a period of 3.1 hours, indicating that its distance from Earth was about 100 astronomical units. According to Brown, they had discovered the coldest known body in the solar system, and so they named it Sedna. Sedna was an Inuit sea goddess who, according to legend, lived at the bottom of the Arctic Ocean. At the same time, Brown suggested that in future the objects discovered so far away should be given names originating from the myths of the Nordic people. Do you have any comment on that?
No.
Okay, 123 astronomical units. The heliosphere extends out into space 123 astronomical units from the Sun, far beyond Pluto, which is only 39 AU from the Sun. Make sure students understand blah blah blah. Okay, we've read that before.
So I'm not saying that anything is going to hit us like Apophis, but what I am saying is the Bible says something is going to hit us. Probably fragmentation from whatever this thing is that's coming through. They know it's coming. There's a picture that talks about a dark star. Remember, I keep talking about redshift or dying light. That's where I get that from. It's from dark star.
There's a whole lot on CERN. Do you want to talk about that?
We can if you want to, if you think we have enough time.
Yeah, we can talk. Okay, I'll just read this. What is the true purpose of CERN? Known for its magnetic field being, what's that? 100,000 times stronger than Earth's natural shield. The impact on our shields has been observed as the magnetopause distorts and collapses during high energy runs. Speculations arise regarding the anticipated threat to our atmosphere. Could CERN be utilizing ancient technology from an advanced civilization to safeguard it? Concerns arise about the consequence if the Earth is disturbed, leaving the fallen ones with no refuge. If there's belief that they can prevent such an event, and what mysteries lie in Antarctica in the southern hemisphere? What's your take on that?
That's its own show all by itself, so we won't go too deep into that. But yes, I do believe that they're going to try to preserve us from this Wormwood event. They can't because it's God ordained, but they're going to try.
Look at this.
This is why they're trying to search out that ancient technology. What you guys know as magic and what I've been describing to you is just high technology. Very, very, very advanced technology.
Shall I read this?
Sure.
The statue is a gift from India celebrating CERN's long association with India, which started in the 1960s and continues strongly today. It was unveiled by the Director General, Dr. Robert Amar, His Excellency Mr. K.M. Chandrasekhar, Ambassador whatever, and Dr. Anil Kakodkar, the Chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission and Secretary, Department of Atomic Energy in India. In the Hindu religion, this form of the dancing Lord Shiva is known as the Natarajas and symbolizes Shakti or life force. As a plague alongside the statue explains, the belief is that Lord Shiva danced the universe into existence, motivates it, and will eventually extinguish it. Carl Sagan drew the metaphor between the cosmic dance of the Nataraj and modern study of the cosmic dance of subatomic particles. The statue was made in India. The original sculpture was a wax model around which a soil mold was made. Melting the wax left a hollow into which liquid metal was poured. Once cooled, the mold was split and the statue polished and given its antique finish. The statue is a permanent display in the square between buildings 39 and 40, a short distance from the main building. Do you have any comment on that?
No. There's Lucifer.
Wow. New instrument with an evil-sounding name is helping scientists to see how stars are born. Lucifer, which stands for Deep Breath, large binocular telescope, a near-infrared utility with camera and integral field unit for extragalactical research, is a chilled instrument attached to a telescope in Arizona. And yes, it's named for the devil, whose name itself means morning star. But it wasn't meant to evoke him, according to a spokesman for the University of Arizona, where it is hid. The instrument is chilled to a blah 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 to allow for near-infrared observations. That wavelength is important for understanding star and planet formation, as well as observing very distant and very young galaxies. Lucifer has 3 interchangeable cameras for imaging and spectroscopy in different resolutions. It has a large field of view and high-res capabilities which allow a wide range of observations.
Let me read this next part.
Okay.
Lucifer is part of the large binocular telescope, which happens to be right next to the Vatican Observatory on Mount Graham in Safford. That's right. The Vatican has an observatory in Arizona manned by Jesuit astronomers. Dun, dun, dun. Now its next door neighbor is named for the devil.
Wow.
Go on.
Scientists at 5 German universities designed the instrument, and they came up with a name, according to Daniel Stalter, a spokesman from the University of Arizona. Stalter, who is German, explained that a team was tossing around names, looking for an acronym that would fit all the technical terms. Very interesting. Many objects in the universe are too cool and faint to be detected in visible light, but can be detected in the infrared. Scientists are beginning to unlock the mysteries of cooler objects around the universe, across the universe, such as planets, cool stars, nebulae, and many more, by studying the infrared waves they emit.
Okay, now stop right there for a second. Look at the infrared IR side. What color is that?
Yeah, red.
Right, so dying star, dying light, redshift, etc. That's what I'm always referring to. Okay, keep going.
Okay, that's it, I think. We've reached the end.
All right, well, let's discuss it.
Okay, can I stop the share now? We don't need anything else here.
No, we don't need anything.
It's actually super interesting. I'm thinking maybe you can discuss a little bit more in depth the different lights, the red light, the black. I think it's gray, right, and white.
Right. I'm not going to be able to describe them in depth like you'd want me to because it's a huge, deep subject. It's its own science. But what I can do is give you a nutshell if I can. So the redshift light is considered dying light because you're going away from the light source itself. So that's how you see it. It's kind of a time exchange event or whatever you want to call that. Think of a train horn. When a train sounding its horn is coming close to you, it sounds high pitched. As it goes away from you, it gets deeper in pitch. It's called the Doppler effect. Think about that for a minute. Keep going. Any questions?
I'm just looking if there's anything here. Could you maybe tell us about the gray light, white light, black?
Again, it's just different frequencies on the spectrum. We talk about frequency and vibration a lot on the channel, so there's a visual representation of it right there in that chart. Kind of directly relates to light and dark and what's visible in light, what's not visible. Think about that for a minute. I'm trying to keep it simple so it's understandable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And remember, I'm a warrior. I'm not a I'm not a rocket scientist. Smart warrior, but at the same time, not a physicist. My dad was, though.
So if we just looking at all these orbit that have, or these asteroids, if you will, that have hit the Earth and hit places over time. And what they're basically saying is they're kind of predicting that something like that is going to happen as well. I mean, is there really anything we can do about it? Right? I mean, that's the question I have. Is there anything we can
He
we can
warns
do
us to be ready. Be ready. Spiritual fitness. I'm not saying you have to prep and you have to hide 1,000 pounds of beans in your backyard or whatever, but just be ready. Have a plan with your family. Be mindful. Be watching. Be paying attention. In other words, could be a phone zombie.
Yeah. I don't know if any of you have watched that movie Greenland, which is actually very interesting. And it's kind of like it's exactly what Caleb was talking about. Yeah, Lisa. So, I mean, where these things are coming in and knocking everything flying, but for me the most interesting thing is the human reaction to these things. The levels of fear that we actually go into and the things that we do in these desperate times is on another level. Suddenly the darker nature of humanity comes out when we in fear. And I think that's what you're saying as well. Caleb is about being ready. Because when you're spiritually fit, so to speak, you've sort of taken care to take care of yourself. And as you say, not to go and store 10 years worth of toilet paper in your garage or whatever, but make sure that you, as much as what you can, and then again, just that whole being spiritually fit, I think is an important thing. Maybe you can just talk to us on that, the spiritual fitness of what we need.
The short and the long of it is get your house in order. Make sure your priorities are right, that you've told the truth to your family as best you can, and that your own faith is strong. Those are the important, pertinent points of getting your house in order. I didn't say you have to be perfect. I didn't say that everybody's going to think you're not crazy, whatever. Say it anyway. Tell them. When the time comes, they're going to remember what you said. And they're going to ask about it then. So you have to be ready to say something about it then, too. I hear a lot about the rapture. I'm not going to get into the rapture subject too much, but if you actually read what the Bible says, there's not going to be a pre-trib rapture. It's going to be about halfway through the whole event. You're going to see at least half of these things happening. So,
yeah. And I think it's important, because as you're saying, it's like there's evidence that exists that these things have happened before. Correct. So for us to walk around in cloud cuckoo land and think that, oh no, it's only those who've been drinking their Kool-Aid are talking about these things. But I think that's
Jim Jones. Don't drink the Jim Jones.
Yeah. But keep your tinfoil hat on.
Right, right. So anyway, one thing I can relate on a personal level from that is my brother is a full bird colonel in the U.S. Army, and they bought a house in Virginia, a nice big house in Virginia, like a horse ranch, real close to the coast near Newport News, which is a nice area. And they bought a house in Hawaii, and they bought a house in Wyoming. The Army told them, sell your property on the coast, get away from Hawaii, move inland. So what does that tell you? They know something's going to happen here soon. The Bible says it's going to hit the ocean and it's going to hit the land. Two places. I think it's going to be more than that, but that's what the Bible's warning us to be ready for. My brother moved to the thickest part of the North American craton, which is surprisingly right on the edge of the supervolcano called Yellowstone. He's real close to there. And that was purposeful. He's trying to get me to move there all the time. I will say that he did tell me something's coming down the pipe. That was 5 years ago. He told me that.
Yeah, Irene, I see what you're saying. The CIA moved inland. They must have some evidence or something about something that's going on there. Yeah. Four corners is the safe zone. What does that mean? Caleb, do you know what it means? It says four corners is the safe
Part of the
zone.
United States.
Right.
Utah, Arizona,
That's the
New
four
Mexico.
states, Shanti. Arizona, Nevada, Utah, and what's the other
New
one?
Mexico.
New Mexico.
Hey, I'm on the southern tip of Africa. I'm safe. I'm safe. Nothing ever happens to us here.
And truth be told, really nowhere is safe if you think about it. Nowhere is really truly safe.
Yeah,
People
we
are going
don't
to
know.
hide in caves. What is a cave other than a man-made bunker? Bunker can be a cave, right? They're already trying to hide out. So the rich people know it's coming. They've been warned.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just muting someone. Yeah, those, I mean, it's those in the know have certainly, and it's true, you know, it's like as you're saying, the CIA has moved inland. Those in the know are kind of selling up their properties where they've been told to and moving to safer areas. So, but I still think, you know, at the end of the day, we really just need to have our wits about us. And spiritual fitness, you know, I believe that, you know, that kind of keeps you in the right place at the right time.
And there's enough information out there that how can you say this never happened before? It's not going to happen again. Blah blah blah. Nothing new under the sun. Remember that. Nothing new under the sun.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm just going to ask, does anyone, I'm just, if we can just keep the questions on par with the topic. Is there any other questions you guys have? New believer, feeling new precious.
I wanted to ask a question, if that's okay. If we can somehow, can you pull this, some of this, what we just learned about, which is all new for me, but can you pull this together with how Jesus Christ may fit into the whole paradigm?
Well, talking about paradigms, you have to be prepared to shift your own at some point to fit this all together. And you have to understand that the original Adam gave up a birthright. In a nutshell, Jesus came back and won that birthright back. He took it back. He didn't win it like a dice game. He took it back. So he became like Adam was supposed to be all along. And there's a timeline that's present. We can do nothing to stop, influence, or start, or anything else. They've been trying to force this to happen because they want this conflict to be over with or done with, or to happen in general. So that's kind of where we're at with that now. But it's amazing the amount of information that's out there. It's almost astounding. So
If I could say that, I think that some of perhaps growing up, it seemed like much of this was dichotomous, like you either are a believer in Jesus Christ or you are an evolutionist, and they probably don't, like, never the twain shall meet ish sort of thing. But I perceive again that paradigm shift of how looking at the evidence is obviously astounding. You're saying there's a great deal of evidence. I think some of my journey, and perhaps many people's journey, is to ascertain how all of these pieces really do fit together into, I guess, say the new paradigm shift or a new perspective.
that's
And
just
that,
you have
that
to be able
wasn't
to
a question.
you have to be able to overcome indoctrination first of all. If you've been indoctrinated into the world belief system the way it is, aka the Great Deception, you're not going to believe anything but what they tell you. You're the perfect example of a sheeple if that's how that is for you. Now, if you're able to wake up, you can see all around you that obviously something was here before us. They consider it a pre-human, high technology civilization, also known as the Watchers, or the bunch that the Watchers come from. They're here before we were, and I can't pretend to claim to know what God was all about back in those days, but obviously He was in control still then. And there's a lot we don't know. We just don't know. We're not going to know until we get to, quote, heaven, or until God enlightens us somehow the way He's going to enlighten us. So, again, the paradigm shift has to happen in your own thinking, and that's how you change your mind about how you think about these things. If you're the Kent Hovind belief that the Earth is only 6,000 years old because of the 6-day theory, you obviously haven't been reading the Bible very in depth. You haven't been reading the correct translations of the Bible. I'm not going to say there's one correct translation. I'm saying there's a lot of deceptive ones out there, real subtly deceptive. Again, think of the Arbiter, how subtle they are, how good they make things sound. It can be very misleading, just put it that way. Think of a bowling ball going down that lane. It doesn't take much but a little thin, slick film of oil to change the direction of the bowling ball. That's all it's influencing, or the spin of the bowling ball. Think of it that way. This obviously goes much more in depth, and we could talk for 10 hours about the subject and still not scratch most of it. So I'm just trying to keep it simple. The KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
But that is a good point to bring up about the paradigm shift that has to happen in all of our thinking. If you're still asleep, how do you know that you're awake? Think about
Yeah.
that dichotomy.
I so agree with that. And when you're awake, you know you're awake.
Right.
Because you're aware and you're conscious that anything can happen. that nothing is really in our control, but it's up to us to be, as you say, spiritually fit, because that makes a
We
huge
have to
difference.
learn how to have faith in the one who does have control.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
the elder race, or the fallen angels, if you want to call them that, the elder race that did fall, which is a huge discussion all by itself. A way was made straight to get out from underneath that tyranny. That's what they want us to do, is rule us. They want it to be God. Look at the mess they've made. Just put it that way.
Right.
Made a huge mess of things for sure.
I like it that way. Someone is asking a question. Irene is asking the tall whites. What question mark? Sorry, can you expand on that a little bit?
When we discuss the nine worlds, which we will at some point, they are part of that whole situation. So,
Right.
also known as elves. But not the way that you think in fantasy books. Elves are also considered dwarves, which has nothing to do with stature or size. It's in the translation of the word that comes from. Dwarf means dark elf. That's the Eldar races that they're called.
Very interesting. And again, I think so much of that, because of the fantasy stories and fairy tales they've been telling us, one has a perception of what an elf or a dwarf might be.
They want you to see a certain thing.
Yeah.
Like a marionette show or a sock puppet show. They want you to see that. They don't want you to see the truth of it. Truth is much, much stranger than fiction. Trust me on that. Things I've seen are pretty terrifying and amazing at the same time. So I'll have to do some looking around for images people have caught on game cameras of the Eldar, or the tall whites, if you want to call them that. I've seen some pretty amazing images of those things out there. So
Right. Certainly interesting times in which we're living, that's for sure. That is definitely for sure. Okay, does anyone have... Sorry?
I know that kind of leaves a lot of hanging questions, but there's a lot of sources of information out there that you can look into. I'm just one person that's saying. So.
Well, I think you're speaking from personal experience as well, so which makes it, you're not a researcher. You are someone who's experienced it, which makes it, in my opinion.
It was my faith and my religion for a long time. So if you want to get into some of the more esoteric readings of stuff, look up the Havamal or the sagas.
The Havamal, Hava
MAL.
and the sagas.
Yep.
Okay, I'll leave that for you guys there.
That guy's name is Snorri Sturluson. I'm not sure how to spell that name. He was a priest that proselytized for the Catholic Church or the Jesuits to the Norse. He's one of the only people that wrote down any of their oral history. Most of the rest of it is either lost or they don't talk about it much. But what I found is they talk more truth than anybody else in their sagas. So any other questions?
Okay.
comments?
We're all a little bit shell-shocked.
The comment, I guess, that I would want to say is still regarding that paradigm shift and how I'm not sure how, but to be careful or to be cognizant that in doing a deep dive into these topics, that still maintain your faith. I'm not sure how, because I perceive that a lot of when I do share these kinds of things, people, you have the tinfoil hat concept and woo woo kinds of stuff, but the most important thing I wonder is, how do you maintain that relationship with Jesus Christ and do the deep dive? And maybe those don't seem dissimilar, but I think that's the warnings I get from many, many people. So that may be a comment or a challenge or open for input from other people.
I would say in retort that a lot of that has to do with the fact that people have been so indoctrinated with things around them by people who are themselves not speaking any kind of real truth. They're just kind of putting out there what they've heard. Well, think about swimming for a minute. We've all gone swimming. First time you go swimming, what do? You just get in the water and instantly you're doing the butterfly stroke and you're diving off the highest high dive, and you get in real slow. My experience of swimming is the water is freezing cold the very first time I ever went in a public pool. Out of warm ocean, I went into a public pool, and it took me a couple of months to learn how to swim. Once I learned how to swim, and by swim I mean doggy paddle, I was just barely surviving in the water. But after about 3 or 4 months, I was swimming like a fish, doing everything you can imagine in the water. They couldn't get me out of that swimming pool for nothing. So, but I always got out at the end of the day. I'd be shriveled up and growing fingers and everything else. But I got out of the water because I knew where to go back to, which is the air and the dry land. That's where I'm from. Same thing with spiritual health. If you know where you're from, you've accepted that gift, that's where you can always return. Another analog or way to look at it would be you and your children. When you had your child, did you just birth it on the floor and walk away? And the cat got to raise the child however way the cat thought was best? I don't think so. You nurtured that child and you took care of it. That's what God's doing for us. We just have to accept that He's our Father. You have to return to Him. If you bear those things in mind, it won't be such a big deal to look in a deep dive and maintain faith and whatnot. You have to maintain that relationship every day. Pray every single day, all day, if that's what it takes you to do. A relationship is just walking with somebody, walking close with them. And the best way to look at it is not a love or a romantic relationship, because we all know that those fail. Things happen. People say dumb things or do dumb things. But if you look at it like a heavenly father and a child, that's much more pure and it's much more beautiful and it's much more secure. So that would be the very first thing I would do. I would say to maintain spiritual fitness, practice talking to God, pray. That's what praying is. It's not getting on my knees and folding my hands neatly in front of me and combing my hair to the side or wearing a pinstripe suit or anything else. It just means that I talk to Him. Him and I became friends. We maintain our friendship. We spend time together. And that's kind of how that works. I know I'm preaching to the choir here with most of this, but you just have to maintain that fitness. It's like going to the gym. Same story, same thing. You don't have to go to the gym or even pretend to go to the gym if that's what you do to be in shape. But you do have to do something. You have to get off the couch. You have to go out. You have to walk. You have to move around. And if you want to be in top form, it's a good idea to go to the gym. So you have to learn what that is. You know, that makes sense.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect sense. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. It's like, and as you said, it's like building your muscles, like any physical exercise. You start with small baby steps and then you move into, you expand.
And you can push it or go as far as you want to with it in terms of fitness. There's really no limit. People say there's a glass ceiling or the sky's the limit. No, there's not. Look above the sky. Look at the stars that are out there. Look how far God will take us when the time is right. When we've gotten past the great controversy, which is sinfulness and all that kind of nonsense. Once we go past those barriers, there's going to be no limit on what we can do. Jesus himself said we would do everything that he did and greater things than that. That's what I always think. And it's like, me? why would you want me to do any of that kind of stuff, you know? Yeah, that's selling myself short, but at the same time, there's you got to have some sort of humility at the end of the day. You have to realize it's not really you, it's actually him doing the work. He did the work. It's called the finished work. It's not something that he has to do every day. It's something you can count on, you can trust. Again, think of something to compare it to, like your car. Somebody built your car and it's a finished work. You trust that it's going to get you from point A to point B if it's in good shape. You do have to perform some maintenance on it, though. You have to keep it running. Doesn't mean you have to rebuild your car every morning. Imagine that. You have to go out before you go to work. You have to rebuild your car every single day. That wouldn't be fun. But you can have faith that it's a finished work and that it's there.
Absolutely.
If I had to rebuild my car every day, I'd make it a Lamborghini.
I've heard they're not very nice to drive.
Not for a big guy like me.
Absolutely.
Me and John
Okay,
had a hard time riding in my old Mercedes. So the Mercedes convertible was built for a very small human.
yeah, the one with the open top.
Yeah, it was a fun car, but man, I sure look goofy driving that thing sometimes.
Oh, lovely. Okay, time for one more question. Does anyone have a final question before we call it a day?
I gotta say something. Can I say something? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. You can hear me, right?
Yep.
Okay. There's a movie on Netflix called How It Ends, and that is telling y'all how it's gonna go down. You know, the fires in Hawaii, Chile, all around the world have been caused by Tiamat. It's got a plasma energy umbilical that'll come down. It'll like a dew weapon in it and start fires. And the anomaly, you know, off of the Antarctica, that's because of Tiamat. The big old blob they had on there, that's because of Tiamat too. And I had some notes, but I can't find them. I'm crazy. Uh, I can't think of what I was going to say. But anyways, you know, I just, man, I wish I don't want to dump the thing, man. But anyway, you know, it's going to be, you know, he's talking about this year at a certain moon phase. I forgot what it was. I had it written down. But then he said we don't have an end be 2030, but he's more thinking this year, you know. He says it, you know, I mean, gosh darn, I was gonna say something else too. Anyways, there's a video on the Husband channel. It's his too. Called Nancy Always Knew, and he talks about a exploding star, you know, a dark star twin, and what it is when the Ruby's on its way here. I think that's gonna be, you know, that's gonna be the Recachina, I think. And when Ruby gets here, it's going to pull Tiamat away. Once it starts pulling Tiamat away, that's when everything is going to go down. You know, he'll show you Nerubi passing Saturn and stuff. You know, they have blowed up several of these big old high power telescopes. You know, so people can't see it. You know, but it's but 8 million people knew that that what's happening. You know, they give a lot of trouble for the big people and stuff. So I think that's about it. I think all I got to say, but it's just gonna happen. And, you know, and just go watch some of his videos, and he'll show you. Matter of fact, he showed that big red blob in the sky the other night. You know, and stuff. You know, on a video 3 days ago, it's called Seeker's Eye Exposed. He shows like a red kachina, I guess, but it's on its way here. You know, he'll show you everything about it, and so people need to get ready. You know, put your faith in God. That's all I can say. There's a lot of people. There's gonna people make it, a lot of people don't. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you, John. How it is on Netflix. It's a movie, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Right.
It's, you know, like all these crazy clouds and stuff. You know, you see, around the world. That's called a Tiamat. And then when they spray in the sky, if you look up, you see like an energy wave, like a ripple in the sky. That's called the energy of Tiamat. Tiamat draws energy off the sun, and also, you know, Tiamat is in two. Oh yeah, you need to look up a Muamua. You know, they say a Muamua is gone, but it's still here. You know, and that thing, he said that thing the size of upstate New York in America. And then he said Tiamat, you know, is 48,000 miles wide. It makes a, you know, United States, you know, Earth like a dot, and then the ruby is bigger than that one. So, but it's all, he'll show you in all the videos, you know, and you know, he don't really, he talks, but he'll like put put in writing what's going on and stuff. He'll tell you, but you got to open your mind up and believe, you know, what the Bible says, and he's showing you about what, you know, what it was about. But he said I'm glad, yeah, and he's, you know, he did say something about that, you know, where it impacted on Earth with cable, man. Caleb said, I can't remember the name, but all that he said about it too. Yep. So that's about all I got to say. But you know, I'm nervous, and I wish I can't find my stuff. I haven't lost it written down. But anyway, I know, just go to this channel, like I said, you know, and he'll explain to you better than I can. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Okay, Caleb, I think, do you want to maybe just end for us in prayer, please?
Yeah, I want to say something before you go, though.
Cool.
I'm not going to give a lot of explains as to what happens to me in my personal area here, but I do have some health issues that cause problems for me from time to time. And I ask for patience and understanding for some of that, and prayer mostly. I'm considered a fall risk, and I fall down sometimes. Sometimes I can't get up for hours. It's such a small space I live in that happens occasionally. I injure myself. My left side is really weak from traumatic brain injury, and that I just want to put that. I'm not trying to explain myself or ask for sympathy or anything else. I'm just telling you what's happening, just so you know. If you don't see me during the week or something happens like that, something like that has occurred to me. So just pray when that happens. Pray when that's put forth. That's one of the major attacks in my life. Is that it's not because I don't have faith or anything else. It's just one of those things you're gonna come under attack when you expose the truth. When you put yourself out there like that, it's just a fact. It's kind of how you know you're doing the right thing. Sometimes you're under attack a lot. And being on the tip of the spear, I get to see all the bad things first. So that's not funny, but that's how that works. That's how it goes down. I know Chantelle can testify on her own some of the things she faces. I'm not asking her to, but I know that she can. We all face that, I'm sure, on some level. So I haven't given up, and I'm not going to give up. I'm choosing life. So just remember that always. It's a choice you have to make every day.
Indeed. Thank you.
All right, let's pray. Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for another day, for some more information. I ask that you bless us all with humility, with power, with strength, with lack of fear, with trust and confidence in you and your ability to take care of us no matter what. And if we are some of those ones who are going to die, death doesn't hurt if we're in your arms. We just go from here to there. We're going into your hall with smiles and laughter and singing, into your feast, and your rest, and be with you forever. So that takes fear away from me. And I know it does that for other people as well. Thank you so much for your friendship and your Holy Spirit. Thank you so much for teaching us the way you do. And you use the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. And I thank you so much for that. Thank you for your son, Jesus, and the gift of salvation. We accept it all. Continue to teach us, continue to guide us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you so much, Caleb. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, John. Appreciate you being here as well very much. I know it's not your favorite thing either. And everyone, thank you for joining us again. And we look forward to seeing you in about 4 weeks for the next gathering. And I hope you all will join us again. Can I explain the picture behind me? It really is a picture that was painted for me by a good friend a good few years ago. It's called The Thinking Man, and I just love those feet, and it's for whatever reason they always follow me. So you'll see, I always say I sit at the feet of God, and there it is. So it's The Thinking Man. It was painted for me by a friend of mine. She's a brilliant artist, and it's been many years ago now. 2002. I've had it since 2002. Okay, everybody. God bless.
Thinking of my sister who passed 24 years ago. I showed Chantelle a picture of her and how beautiful she was, and the differences between men and women, and how women are so feminine and this and that. And I was thinking, my sister had the stinkiest feet ever. My goodness. It made me think.
Oh my goodness, these aren't smelly. They're very pretty. Okay, thank you. I'm going to end the recording.